Here's the lesson where I get to teach you how to turn an expression or an equation into words. But before we start, you have to remember a few bits of terminology. For example, how do you say addition? What are some synonyms of addition? Here's a few. I've got add. That's easy. Increased by. Sum. Total. More than. Altogether. Subtract. How about any of these? Do you remember these? Minus, decreased by, difference, less than, take away, taken from. Those all mean subtraction. And I'm going to recommend you write all this down because we're going to need to make reference to it later on in this lesson. Multiply. Of, times, product, by. If you see the word by, we're talking about multiplication. And then there was division. We have quotient. We have times greater than. For example, if something is 3 times greater than something else, you would have to divide. 3 times less than, you would have to divide. And groups. So write all this down. Let's move on with the lesson. You can make reference to it as we move along. I'm going to circle this here. Because if you see a plus 2, the first thing I want you to think about is 2 more. We can represent it in different ways, but 2 more is the first one I want you to think about. If you see a minus 5, you're not going to say 5 more. You're going to say 5 less. Correct. The number comes first. The word comes second. The number comes first. The word comes second. 2 more, 5 less. If this was a 2, you would say 2 less. I want you to get, because that's the part where people mess up on, especially with subtraction. So I want you to remember this here. Now, we don't have to say it as 2 more. That's just one way. We can also say, increased by 2. We can say increased by 2. And there's all these other ones, like we could say, we can use for addition, we can use sum. We can say add. Let's see some possibilities. What's that X doing here? What is that? That is a missing number. It is an unknown number. And if you see a variable, we call these variables, these letters, just call it a number. We have a number increased by 2. Increased by 2. We don't say a number 2 more. You would have to say 2 more than a number. So how you say it is important. We don't say a number 2 more. We say 2 more than a number. So you don't always have to go left to right when you write these out in words. We can say a number increased by 2. That is fine. But we say 2 more than a number. We can say a number plus 2. How about this side here? We started by saying 5 less because it's minus 5. 5 less than a number. We don't say a number 5 less. We say 5 less than a number. We can also say a number decreased by 5. A number decreased by 5. And then this is the one I was talking about. 5 less than a number. That middle one, the second one here, is where people mess up. Because what they will write here, if I showed you this in words and I said, write the expression, most people would write 5 less than a number. And that is wrong. That is wrong. This here is a number less than 5. So remember that. If you decide to read it this way, put the number first and put the word second, whether it's less or more. Only between these two, less or more. You always put the number first and that second. Now what about that third one? We can say 5 taken away from a number. 5 is taken away from a number. We start with the number and then we take 5 away. That's like a kid has some candy and you take the candy away from him. That's not nice. What about this one? 7t. There's no multiplication or division or adding or anything here. What do? It's multiply, right? If you don't see a symbol, it's multiplication. So we have here 7 times a number. We can also use the word product. And the product of 7 and a number. We can say that. So we can say here 7 times a number. We can say the product of 7 and a number. Which takes us to the last one. We have here a number divided by 9. You could just say that. But let's get creative with this. If you take something and you divide it by 9, don't you split it into 9 parts? And isn't each part a ninth? Yeah. So we could say a ninth of a number. A ninth of a number. We could say that. We can say the quotient of 9 in a number. We can say a number divided by 9. A number is divided by 9. Or we can say 1/9 of a number. Now these last bits here that we just did, these are not called equations. These are called expressions, because expressions don't have any equal sign. But equations, they do. So now we have expressions over here, and we're done them. Now we're moving on to the equations. Now we have an equal sign, and the only difference now is that equals means is. It means the same as. And there's other that you could say equals. And we can read these equations. We can put them in any order that we want. When we use words, we can go backwards, start with the 14, as long as it makes sense in the end. But I'm going to start with this. I see -6. So I see 6 less. I see this here as a Q. That's not a 9. That's a Q. And that is a number. So I can say 6 less than a number is 14. I can also go backwards. I can say 14 is the same as 6 less than a number. There's many ways you can phrase these. A number -6 is 14. That's fine. A number -6 is 14. 6 less than a number is 14. 14 is the same as a number decreased by 6. Here's the number. Decrease it by 6 is the same as 14. Now, how about this side here? We have multiplication happening. This x here is being multiplied by 12. We can say the product of a number and 12 is 36. Is 36. We can say 12 times a number is 36. We can say the product of 12 and a number is 36. We can say, go backwards. You can say 36 is the same or is equal to the product of 12 and a number. You've got the flexibility to make anything work out with these statements. When you take a number and divide it by 2, you can just say we divide a number by 2. Or you can say we halved the number. We took a number and split it in half. Because that's what divide by 2 means. I also see this here. I see 4 less. I see 4 less. I see 4 less than what? 4 less than half a number is 8. I can also go backwards. I can start with the 8 and say 8 is the same, or 8 is 4 less than half a number. See how I'm playing with the words here? You've got the freedom to make anything work. 4 less than half a number is 8. 8 is the same as half a number decreased by 4. You could say that too. Here's half a number decreased by 4. Now what I see here is I see 4 more. Here was 4 less, here's 4 more. And I see over here that a number is being multiplied by 2. That's not halving, that's doubling. You multiply by 2, you double. You multiply by 3, you triple. You multiply by 4, the code for that is quadruple. But back to this here, we're just timesing by 2, we're doubling. So we could say 4 more than double a number is 10. We can also use these. 4 more than double a number is 10. We can go backwards. 10 is the same. 10, here's 10, is the same. That's equals. As double a number and then increased by 4.